Welcome to the place where brains collide with science, wit, and a nerdy vibe. I'm Dr. Angel. Let's dive in where psychology meets a clever spin. Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy.
Toxic positivity is a real thing. Have you ever been told, just stay positive while your life is actively falling apart? Maybe you've had a breakup, or maybe you've lost your job, or maybe you're just having a difficult time paying your bills, or maybe life just seems to be throwing an avalanche at you, like your car needs a repair and this is coming up and unexpected things are happening all around you. Or maybe someone has slapped a good vibes only sticker on your grief. Well, guess what? You're not negative. You're just not emotionally bypassing anymore. Today, we are going to call out toxic positivity. Yes, you heard me say that. Toxic positivity. Positivity can be a really wonderful and helpful thing in our world, in our space, but too much of it and it becomes toxic and unhealthy for us. And we're going to learn to navigate the difference. And learning how to actually support our emotional well-being without turning it into, I don't know, a Pinterest quote. Hey, welcome to Nerdy Psychology, where we translate therapy speak into real talk with a heavy dose of sarcasm and science. I'm Dr. Angel, your nerdy, no-nonsense guide to untangling the weird, wonderful mess of human emotions. If you're into emotional intelligence, eye rolls at empty affirmations, and tools that actually help, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community of feelers, thinkers, and vibe questioners. Let's pop the bubble wrap of positive vibes only and talk about what happens when positivity gets weaponized. Spoiler alert, it's not healing, it's harmful. And we are going to break it all down today. Let's dive right in. So point one we're going to talk about is the definition and signs of toxic positivity. How do I know when this is just encouraging positivity and when something is toxic? And one of the big things is toxic positivity is this pressure to display only positive emotions and reject anything that could be considered negative. When we look at our emotions, we subscribe a judgment of these are good emotions or happy emotions or positive emotions, and these are the negative emotions. And so toxic positivity is all about only letting people think you have positive emotions all the time. So it teaches you to squash things like anger or sadness or grief or fear or jealousy or any of those emotions that we might deem negative. It can sound like, at least it's not worse, or, there's people living without XYZ, or just smile, you'll feel better, or just go for a walk, or you need to hit the gym, or as you can see, I can make this list a mile long. These are the types of things that people may say to us in a way that it can become toxic positivity. And yes, there is a perspective in some of it, but these phrases can seem harmless on the surface, and they can seem like they're trying to redirect our perspective. And yeah, sometimes we do need our perspective redirected, but what they also do is they send the message that your pain, well, it's inconvenient, or your feelings, they're too much. And it creates this emotional invalidation wrapped up in a shiny little bow. I'll give you an example. I once was working with an individual who shared that she went through a very difficult season, and her mother went through a very challenging illness, and she died from it. And she talked about how people flooded her with these like hashtag blessed comments, things like, haven't gained another angel. Not a single person said, that must have hurt so deeply. That is a huge loss, and I'm here for you. It left her feeling unseen. It left her feeling silenced and, well, even very isolated and totally alone. She felt like to discuss her grief or to show her grief, she was dishonoring her mother or her mother's memory in some way. And we're human, and that can be a huge loss to go through. Another example could be workplaces. This could be a good one. When we're in a workplace and we have this job, and maybe we have a lot of burnout happening. Maybe we have a supervisor that has unrealistic expectations, or maybe they're expecting us to work after hours a lot, or a lot of days, or just a lot of things that might push us beyond our capacity at times without recognizing that need for balance. And people might say, at least you have a job. That just completely invalidated that individual's experience. And yeah, it's true, they do have a job, but just because we have a job doesn't mean we're still not allowed to feel, I don't know, overwhelmed, burdened, stress, those negative emotions that we all have as humans. Or parents that might tell their child, maybe the family had the big plans. We're here in Florida, so maybe the family had big plans to go hit up the Disney World on the weekend off, and our weather shifted and they can't go to Disney World, and so they're going to go bowling instead. And the child is really disappointed, and the parents are like, just be grateful. I don't know why you can't be more grateful. Instead of just saying, man, that had to be really disappointing that the weather kind of changed our plans, and just allowing them to have that feeling. It just shuts down our emotional connection in favor of toxic optimism or positivity. Point 2, how it invalidates our authentic emotional experience. Humans are wired. We are wired for the full range or spectrum of emotions. And if you've ever looked at what some of that can look like, there are literally hundreds of emotions we can experience. And when we deny negative ones, we're cutting off a part of our humanity. It's emotional suppression. And what that does is it leads us to feel shame and internalize shame, and to feel resentment. And when shame comes inside, it affects our body in physical symptoms. So things like fatigue or insomnia or anxiety, or, well, this list can go on and on and on, because these types of emotions can really impact our physical health. And so to let others think we don't have those negative emotions doesn't make us a super strong or this super heroic person. It usually makes us kind of a sick person, because we do have those emotions, and to express them and to honor them and give them their space is an important part of our healing journey. And when we don't do that, we are stuffing them down, and those emotions will impact us in other ways. So they don't just dissipate, they don't just go away. Think of your emotions like a GPS. If you mute the discomfort, you're ignoring the signs that's telling you to reroute. Think about, there's a physical condition of people who don't feel pain, and their pain receptors don't tell them when something should hurt. And yeah, pain is not an emotion or an experience that we are like, yay, I want to go feel pain today. Nobody wakes up out of bed and thinks that. However, when people don't have those pain receptors, they are in critical danger of really hurting and injuring themselves, because they won't know how to remove themselves from something that can be dangerous, or to use our GPS example, to reroute themselves. So they won't know that if I put my hand on a hot stove that it's going to burn that, because they aren't feeling that pain. And so negative emotions do the same thing. They are signs, and they can be telling us all kinds of things. These emotions have a purpose. Sadness, it can signal loss, or anger could signal a boundary violation, or fear, well, that could just signal, uncertainty. And so sometimes those purposes could be that maybe we need to plan about something. Maybe we just need to stop and breathe about something. Maybe we just need that support. But these emotions have a purpose. And when we numb them, when we deny them, when we stuff them, those messages, they just disconnect from ourselves. As Dr. Susan David says, discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life. We don't get to selectively just numb emotions without also numbing positive emotions, things like joy and connection and creativity. Like, they go hand in hand. I'll give you a real life example. I worked with a teen once who once told me that she felt very guilty for feeling sad after having to move schools. Her parents kept saying, "You are so lucky. Not every kid gets this opportunity to attend this school." Instead of feeling support, she just felt silenced. Has there been something in your life that you needed support and you felt silenced by the words that people were reflecting back at you, where it almost made you feel like, oh my gosh, what kind of person am I to say this makes me feel sad or scared or anxious or disappointed? Two things can be true at the same time. We can feel grateful for an opportunity and feel anxious of that opportunity and feel sad of what we are leaving here to move for that opportunity. All of those things can dwell within the same experience. And so, yes, a positive experience can still give us feelings that we might deem or society might have deemed as negative. Point 3, why discomfort is necessary for growth. Well, I always say that I've heard a quote said that when the pain of change becomes less of the pain of remaining the same, people will change. We want to go toward the least pain. So discomfort really is a part of our growth. And when discomfort isn't a detour, it's really a path to healing. So, muscles growth requires tension. Like when you go to the gym, and emotional growth works the same. When we allow ourselves to sit in the hard stuff, to sit with it, not avoid it, not dismiss it, not deny it, not run from it, but sit with it, acknowledge it, give it its space. What we're building in ourselves is, well, emotional resilience, clarity, self-compassion, empathy. Just like when we go to the gym and we exercise and we get on that treadmill, the first time you go to the gym, you are not bench pressing large amounts of weight or running 5 miles on the treadmill or able to, go the distance in spinning or hit the time or have the longevity. That has to build up as we go. And the more we go, the more we are putting ourselves in that space, the more our body builds strength and our muscles build strength. And the more we can push our body to a different level, the faster we could go, or the more weight we could lift, or the more distance we can go. And our emotions work the same way. It's in the hard stuff. It's in the hard stuff. It's in the hard stuff. And I'm going to say that because that's where we build emotional strength, resilience, clarity, or compassion. That's where it happens. It does not happen in those moments where life is just golden and you're just kind of feeling like, yay, everything's great. That's not where that growth really happens. Growth happens when we have those moments. So something like grieving your divorce, or just feeling rage over injustice, or crying in your car before work, that's not weakness. It's emotional honesty. And emotional honesty, well, that is how we build stronger, more authentic lives. I once had someone, we'll call him Jordan, and they came into therapy and they were saying, I don't want to feel angry anymore. Turns out Anger was trying to protect him. And once he stopped avoiding it, he found the courage to speak up in his relationships. And there was the growth. It was a signal that something was wrong, that things weren't okay. Another example is I knew an individual who had experienced childhood abuse and neglect and realized that her tendency was to just kind of dismiss negative emotions, just pretend like they didn't exist. That her tendency to dismiss sadness as overreacting came from always having to act as if everything was okay as a child. And once she gave herself that space and that permission to feel, she began to form healthier boundaries. She began to have a stronger sense of worth. She began to see herself in her authentic space. And so, acknowledging I'm having this emotion is part of the journey of where we are in our life. So, we are going to talk about some therapeutic tools because, well, that's what we're here for, right? So, tools to help us with emotional balance. So, what do we do instead of sugarcoating real emotions? We name them. Research shows that, well, naming an emotion decreases its intensity. So, instead of saying, I'm fine, say, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed, or I'm disappointed, or I'm totally frustrated. We allow space for duality. You can be grateful and sad. Remember, 2 things can be true at the same time. 3 things can be true at the same time. Hopeful and anger, joy and grief. These things can live in the same heart at the same time over the same thing. We offer support, not solutions. And I'm going to say that again. We need to offer support, not solutions. Most time we are giving people problem solving when they're just asking to feel heard and to feel validated and to feel acknowledged. So if people aren't asking for help and solutions, we need to offer support. So instead of look on the bright side, try that sounds really difficult right now and I'm here. In therapy, in the counseling room, we practice emotional validation. Like this is a part of the things that we do. And so holding space without fixing. That's what makes the healing feel safe. And guess what? When people feel heard, they become more, emotionally regulated. When we can label that emotion and we can acknowledge it's there, we can learn how to navigate that. And again, build those emotional muscles. So let's flip the script on emotional bypassing with some practical steps. Let's replace positivity with empathy. So next time someone's struggling, ditch the advice, try, that makes so much sense, or thanks for trusting me with that, or sounds really tough. Use words like both and language. Life is rarely all good or all bad. It is not a black and white. It is not an either or. And when we get stuck in that thinking, we have a real hard time allowing what we would see as opposing or duality living within us. And we can say it is both sad and whatever that goes with that event. So use both and language. Life is not black and white. Practice saying things like, I'm happy for them, and also feeling a little left out. This kind of language just builds emotional fluency. Practice emotional labeling daily. At the end of the day, check in with yourself. Not good or fine, but really check in with yourself. I felt anxious during that meeting, or I felt proud that I spoke up, or I felt jealous that my friends posted a dinner on social media that they all went to and they didn't invite me. Give yourself permission to feel. Make a rule. No judging your emotions. We're not judging. If you need to cry, rage, or rest, do it. You're not being dramatic. You're being, human. These tools don't make you a negative person, they make you emotionally mature. And feeling your feelings is not a vibe violation, it's a human right. You're not too sensitive, you're not too much, you are whole exactly as you are. And even on messy days, you are whole. If this episode helped you shift your lens a little on toxic positivity, let us know in the comments. What's one emotionally honest phrase that you want to start using with yourself? Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode where emotions get untangled with nerdy flair and, well, real world tools. Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy. See y'all next week.
Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy.